that, whether it's the rec center or other things that have been going on, that it'd be great and it would make sense to use certain funds in a certain way. We don't always have the ability to do that.
No, I've talked to FEMA about that.
In terms of transit, the decision's been made to go back to the GTC to do some changes to the street system to allow, and also to that building to allow buses. I mean, before buses had to back up. Never a good idea, but that's what happened back in the 80s. So now they're addressing how buses come in there, so it's safer for not only the transit users, but pedestrians who are just walking by. So there are things going on. Does it happen as quickly as we want? Never does. Never does. But there's a lot of regulations and other things that have to go, that the city has to go through.
Right. And what's your name?
Adam.
Adam. Yeah, I've seen a lot of communication with you and FEMA or Army Corps. Starts with an L, right?
So, but
yes.
Okay.
One second.
So
the GTC is expected to be complete in 2013, right?
Yeah, I think it is late 13 or
so
mid 13.
There is progress moving forward. The decision's been made.
You know what? It's 4 years out, and if you go down and look in the windows, there is no progress being done. But we've got a brand new hotel, we've got a brand new convention center. It's ridiculous. Those bus patrons are out there standing behind a fence, and finally they got some trailers or something to stand in. But this is the ground transportation center. This is more of a priority than the stinking hotel, buying a hotel. When they bought that, everyone on the council saying, well, we don't want to be in the hotel business. I want you to start shopping for a buyer tomorrow. Chris Julich said that. And they all agreed, and here we are, how long out, and we're paying for all the renovations that Hilton requires. We're going to pay $100,000 to use their name. We should have sold that to Hilton if we want a Hilton here. That's how it works. But, you know, instead, they got their priorities all skewed, and the ground transportation center, go look in that window, it has not been touched for 4 years since it was mucked and gutted. I know that there's planning going on, but they've gotten all this planning done for everything else that are not priorities. That should have been a priority, and they haven't done anything with it. I know about their plan before the flood. They were going to buy, 2.4 blocks of Pepsi Americas and help Steve Dummer move. I think that's who it is. Make millions of dollars. I added up all the parcels, and it came to $2.25 million. We were going to pay him $10 million. I'm fed up with all these pre-planned projects to help these millionaires make more millions off of us.
And regardless of whether you agree with decisions made or not made by city council,
they're going to do it. I know.
No, not all of that money that's come into the city can be used for every single project. So, it would make sense.
But this city is bonding for hotels and convention centers. They're using our local option sales tax for hotels and convention centers, and those things could have been used for the ground transportation center. Their priorities are screwed up.
I have a question about the ground transportation. I've noticed there's ads on the sides of the buses. Is that money that those people paid for those ads, right?
Yes. I don't know if you remember quite some time ago,
the city?
And there still are some buses. They're completely wrapped. There was a Foster's Heating and Cooling, there was a radio. And those are also old buses, and there were jokes that wrap actually kept the bus together, which was the truth probably in a lot of cases. But now with the new buses, it's more of, this isn't the Foster's Heating and Cooling bus, but this is the CR Transit bus.
Well, what I was wondering...
there is, that is ad space that is sold, so people pay to have in that space. To have
so the city makes that money, right?
Yes.
It goes to
CR Transit.
So the new bus stops with the ads on them.
Yes.
Those are paid for basically by the ads.
There's a company, and I don't know the name. I'd recommend talking to Brad DeBrower. He's the CR Transit manager. A company came in and said, we will pay for installation, for the product, for maintenance, in order to put advertising on there. And it's only in certain places because they look and they say, well, if there's X amount of cars or whatever people going by, that makes us money, so that's why it's there. They'll pay for it in some places and not in others. And I think, again, checking with Brad, what the idea is to try to keep that cohesiveness, so the city may end up paying for a similar structure on its own. And one of the other improvements in terms of transit is if you have mobile deficiency, whether you need a cane, walker, wheelchair, there might be a bus stop near you. How do you get to it? Because there's grass or mud or dirt, whatever. So one of the improvements has been making connections from sidewalks to the actual stop sign, and then making sure there's a hard surface, there's concrete there, so then, you're not standing in mud. And then even going a further step of making sure during the winter, after plows come by and it's full of snow, that's cleared, so again, people can get to it, but those are just some of the...
I was just curious, because I've seen the new stops, but I still see people standing outside, so I was wondering why they were doing that and not focusing
That
more
would
on
be why are people standing outside?
No, I was just wondering why new bus stops when there's a hub that needs to be, the ground transportation.
Right, because we're not paying for it.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay.
And it's, there's a lot of, Sierra Transit, there's a lot of things they'd love to do, just the money isn't there. So when there's small things that they can do that either they've heard from their transit riders, because at the end of the day they're trying to, as much as you want to attract new riders, you've got a client base, and so they're trying to respond to them, and as much as they can pick off some of those items and respond to them, that's their goal.
I know I have some kids that are bus, customers, so.
Because when they did the bus transit study a couple of years ago, that was one of the big issues, was the number of people who were handicapped or disabled saying, hey, I'm standing outside, it's hard to get to the bus, there's no curbs, and that. So that was a big improvement.
One of the things that the mayor, when he was running and, shortly after he got elected, and I don't know if he came out publicly and said it, but he kept saying it to me and from the residents, he was very adamant about getting more of those covered, and I know we're getting off topic, but it is community planning, but the covered bus stops, people stand out there in the snow and the rain, and we don't have enough of those. Do you know what I'm talking about with the bench?
Shelters,
that's what I was talking about, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that you were talking about covered.
There's new ones, yeah, like down by Co and up by Hawthorne Hills apartment.
We need a lot more of those.
Yeah.
And we need sidewalks for people to walk on. Yesterday I saw a guy in the walker on
Oakland Road?
some busy street. Out in the street. I see wheelchair people out in the street. We have bad roads. The city was trying to manipulate the voters into voting for that 20-year tax because we have 40% for roads, and yet they're using our current road budget for trails and not roads and not sidewalks.
There is a sidewalk transportation or
the city puts hardly any money in the trail. Are you talking about the
I think that's the
Metropolitan
county.
Planning Organization?
The MPO.
Yeah, that's different. That's really different.
Well, they were saying that it was...
But yeah, we agree that there needs to be
Not
more
coming out of the
sidewalks.
cities.
And the city council adopted a sidewalk policy because what was happening before is that developers, there wasn't a clear policy on sidewalks, so developers kind of had the choice of if they wanted to use sidewalks or not. And now the city council has tightened that up so that only under certain circumstances are they not allowed to build sidewalks, and then there's a plan to replace. They've identified places where there's not sidewalks. There's a plan to put those in place. I don't know what the funding of the budget looks like for that, but it's large.
So are residents getting mad over that because that's going to raise their taxes too?
Some are walking.
They don't want to shovel the walk. That's why they get mad.
There's citizens who, there are times when the city would say, well, we understand it's a lot of money to come up with right now, we'll pay for half of it. And they said, no. It's like, okay, you know what, we know there's people who are going to use it, we'll pay 100% of it. And the property owner would say, absolutely not, I don't want a sidewalk in front of my house. Forgetting that they're not going to live there for eternity.
Right.
And there might be new people coming to that house or that neighborhood who, wow, they may actually they want their kids to not walk in the street.
I mean, as a citizen, I would prefer people walk on a sidewalk, even if it costs me a little bit more.
What's been going on with the planning process, it's not, there's both. We're looking at people now, and we're also looking at people in the future, because usually cities last forever.
Maybe the city can offer them a tax break. That'll make them happy.
The history of Cedar Rapids was that years ago they worked hard sidewalks. Several neighborhoods with no sidewalks. That's just the way it was.
Well, I don't think the homeowners have a choice, because it's not about their safety, it's about everyone else's safety.
But now you're telling someone that they have to shovel. And if they don't, within a certain time period after the snowfall, they're going to get a ticket. They're going to get assessed. So why should you be able to tell them that they're going to have to pay if they don't want to get out?
And why should I have to pay for a hotel and convention center when we don't have a ground transportation center? That's priority. Priority in the town should be safety, and that means a sidewalk in front of someone's house.
And that, at the end of the day, it is all priorities that
And
the city council's making the choices
The
on.
city forces us all the time to fix streets in front of our house, and they get assessed. And I remember being in a council meeting where the city was forcing these businesses and parcels around the intersection to pay for a light. That's about safety, too. Those property owners shouldn't have to pay for any of that. That's safety for everybody, you know?
We've used up your hour, appreciate it. I'll be in touch with Brett now. We can talk about the presentation, and then I'll send it out to the board.
We should have nominated Sarah. We should have nominated people that would do it.
Have a good one.
There's more people I can participate.
See you later.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Could I get a copy of today's thing?
Have a